Hi, welcome back. I'm certainly glad you could join us today. Thought today we'd just do a fantastic little painting. It'll just make you feel good in here. So let's start out and have run all the colors across the screen that you need to paint along with us. And they'll come across right about there. See them? Okay, let's go up here. Today I just have a plain old white pre-stretched double prime canvas, and I've covered it with a very thin even coat of liquid white. So it's all wet and it's slick and it's all ready to go, and so let's just do a fantastic little painting together. I thought maybe today we'd just start with the old 2-inch brush, a little phthalo blue, and just load a little color right into the bristles, like so. Just a little. We don't need a whole bunch. It's easy to add more color, but sometimes it's a son of a gun to try to take it off. Okay, let's go right up here. We'll start right at the top of the canvas, and we'll make little X's, little crisscross strokes. Something about like so. And if you start at the top of the canvas, work all the way across, and then begin working downward in layers, it'll mix with the liquid white that's on the canvas, and automatically, it'll get lighter in value as you work down toward the horizon. And that's exactly what we're looking for. And the little crisscross strokes will give you little actions that are happening in the sky. So it's not just a flat old dead sky. Has some character to it. There we go. Something about like that. Whatever. Doesn't much matter. We'll bring it right on down to about there. Okay. Now maybe I'll just add a touch of alizarin crimson right on that old brush with the blue. Just a little though. I don't want much. Just a little. And I'm going to start down here and just put a little lavender hue. Sort of lavender color. And then we'll let that sort of work upward, because I want that lavender color to be down here. But it's not very strong. It's just enough that you know it's there. Now, sometimes in paintings, it's nice to take and make the corners of the painting much darker. And that way, when you look at the painting, your eye is automatically drawn toward the center. There we go. So we'll just take a little of the midnight black, and we'll just put a little bit in the corners, just like so. And then we'll blend that right in. Something about like that. Sometimes I use a little Prussian blue. Let's use a little Prussian blue. In fact, what the heck? We'll mix that right in there with the black. Prussian blue is much darker and stronger, and it just blends right in. It'll make the top of this painting and the corners a little bit darker. There. And it also helps create that illusion of depth and distance in your painting. And that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. All right. Now then, down here. Tell you what, we have to decide what we're going to paint today. I tell you what, let's do. I live in Florida, and in Florida we have a lot of gorgeous, gorgeous swamps. That's where a lot of my little creatures live. So let's do a little swamp scene today that's very simple. And if you've never painted a swamp scene, this is one you can do. This is a nice one. I want to take a little bit of that phthalo blue, a little alizarin crimson. I'm just mixing them on the brush. I think I'll make a little more of that lavender color. Let's go right up in here. If we're going to make a swamp, let's make one that's colorful. It's pretty. Make you feel good just to look at it. There we go. And we'll just pull this straight across, pulling from the outside in. Something about like that. I think I'll leave a little area open right here so it'll look like a sheen of light, and maybe we'll come back and put a bright color in there. Something that'll just sparkle a little. Same thing here. I want to make these corners a little darker than the rest of the painting. And already your eyes should automatically be going to right in here. Let's wash the old brush. If you've painted with me before, you know this is the fun part of this whole technique. There. Shake off the excess. And just cover everybody around you. If you do this at home, there's a thing made called a brush beater rack that you put down in a little garbage can, and you shake the brush inside of the can and then beat the devil out of this little rack. And I tell you right now, it'll save you a happy home and your marriage and all that. Because if you do that in your living room, chances are your spouse is going to kill you right on the spot. I'm going to take a little pink. I'm going to put a little bit of alizarin crimson right in that little area. Right in there. Something about like that. And that'll give us some nice base colors for what we're looking for. And maybe in our world, there live some happy little clouds. Use a little fan brush today. Take some white. I'll be right back. I'm going to get a little, there. Whoops, maybe a little more. A little touch of the bright red. I want to put a little pink sparkle in these clouds. Load a lot of color in the brush. Okay, let's go up in here. Now, have to decide where your little clouds live. In our world, I think one lives, yeah, you're right there. There he is. Little rascal just runs around and has fun all day. I like clouds. They're very free. Very free. There, we'll give him a little more right there. We just let him go wherever you want him to go. It doesn't matter. There we go. There we go. A little touch more of the bright red, because I want this to have a little pink flavor to it. Ooh, maybe that's too much pink flavor. We'll just dull him down. That's all there is to it. Just add a little more white, dull him down a little. And we just sort of let that wander off wherever. I think I'll put some big trees back here. We'll probably cover up half of these, so we're not too worried about them. Not too worried about them. If you've never seen a swamp, they're most interesting. There are so many fantastic creatures live in a swamp. It's sort of the start of the whole ecosystem. That's where all your little creatures come from. So we have to preserve some of the swamps. There. As I say, I live in Florida. We have some of the most gorgeous swamps there. There we go. And there's a lot of swamps all the way up into Georgia and Louisiana, all through there. Beautiful, beautiful areas. And there's so much wildlife in one of these. Every so often I drive down to the Everglades and just go out and look at all the little alligators and the birds and the egrets and all kinds of little creatures that live out in there. There. See, isn't that easy? We've got the indication of a little cloudy area that lives way back in there. Shoot, that's a lot of fun. Let's wash the old brush. I just like to wash the brush. I got a cameraman that gives me a hard time. This is the way I get even with him. All right. Well, I got another one dirty here, but we won't wash it. I'll just take a little crimson, pick up a little Prussian blue. Going to make a lavender color toward the blue side. You can make it toward the red side or the blue side. Today I'm going to make it toward the blue side. Let's go right up in here. I'm just going to put some little indications of some little trees that live way back in the distance here. They're a little clump. These are going to be cypress trees, and they grow in clumps. There. So we'll just put in some basic little shapes, like so. Don't want a lot of detail because these are too far away. Too much detail would ruin the illusion of distance. Something about like that. There we go. Just using the corner of the brush and just tapping in some very basic little shapes. Maybe we'll do a big cypress tree. Yeah, let's do a big cypress tree in the foreground. And we'll put some detail in those. Right out here, though, these are ones that are far away. We're not looking for detail in them. Take a little yellow ochre, a little Indian yellow. We'll just come back in there. That makes a green with what we've got on there. Sort of a greenish, but just the indication of a few highlights here and there. This is sort of separates the individual trees. There we go. There we are. All kinds of little things. There's little creatures live all out here. In the last show, we showed a little baby fox. I wonder if you got to see him. He is so precious. There. Something about like that. I'm going to take my little liner brush, little script liner, and we'll use that same old lavender color. It doesn't much matter. Thin the paint down with paint thinner. Okay, let's go right up in here. And we'll put the indication here and there and there and here of some little trunks. These are far away. We're not worried about much detail. Here and there we can put an arm, but don't put a bunch of detail. It'll ruin the illusion of distance. Ruin that illusion. And that's what makes your painting special. There. Maybe. Yep, you're right. You're right, wherever you want them. Okay. Now we can take we use a fan brush for a while. Get an old fan brush, I'll use that same color, alizarin crimson, Prussian blue, mix them together, make a lavender to the blue side. Lavender to the blue side. We'll use that. That's just, I'm pushing upward, giving it an upward push with a brush. Pushing pretty firmly. I want to bend that rascal. Bend it. Just something like that. Shoot, maybe over in here. Maybe there's some little trees back in here too. I want to put some back here. This may show through a little. That'll help create that illusion of more trees back over in there. Just in case some of it shows. I'm going to put a big tree right there. I know that already. I can feel a big tree coming. If you've painted with me before, you know I really like those old big trees. So invariably before we're finished, we're going to have a big tree here. Take a little sap green, a little yellow, mix them together. Make a nice green color, maybe a little yellow ochre too. Ooh, that's nice. Let's go up here. And just take that. We'll begin putting in a little indication of some bushes and weeds that grow way back in here. Some old swampy things. There they come. A little bit more right in here. Maybe like that. It doesn't much matter. Doesn't much matter. I'm going to take another fan brush. Put a little bit of phthalo blue and white on the brush. And maybe right in here, just to give it a little cool area. Just want to put a little blue right in here. Very little, very little. Just cool it down a little. Whew, like that. All right. Now, it looks like something that's far, far away back. Let's take the old brush here that's got the lavender on it. And let's just begin pulling some of that color down. There, see, straight down, straight down. Gonna make the indication of a nice reflection back in there. Straight down. All right, now, very lightly, just go across. That'll help create that illusion of reflections in your water. Now let's take a little liquid white and put a little bit of the phthalo blue in it. Just to sparkle it up a little. It's a pretty color. Cut across, just like so. See? Pull it out flat and cut across. Gives you a little bit of paint right out of the edge of the knife, okay? Then you can go up here with that little bit of paint and you can just begin cutting in a little water line. Something about like that. There. Now normally swamp water is not real deep. There are exceptions to that, but most of the time swamp water is pretty shallow. Pretty shallow, so I don't want to make this look real deep. And it looks, swamp water looks blackish, unclean, but it's really, as I mentioned earlier, it's where the whole ecosystem starts. It's right there. So the swamps are very, very important. We really need to preserve some of them. There. Okay, now we can start having some fun. Let's find an old filbert brush. I think we'll take the old filbert and go into a little bit of Van Dyke brown, a little dark sienna, just mix them up. It doesn't much matter. Maybe back here there's an old, let's go right up in here. Maybe there's an old cypress tree that maybe it's a tired old tree. And cypress trees normally down toward the base are very fat. Big old fat trees, sort of funny looking. Maybe he's got a friend right here. And you have what's called cypress knees. They call them cypress knees. They're just little protrusions that come up of cypress out of the water. So we'll draw one of those here too. Okay, we take a little bit of white, a little brown on it. And maybe our light's going to come from that, so we'll highlight that side a little bit. There we go, right over in there. We'll come back with a liner brush and work on that a little more later, but right now that's good enough. Good enough. Let's take a little black, little Prussian blue, brown, crimson, all the good dark colors, a little sap green, put them all together, mix them up on the fan brush, make a good dark color. And we'll just pop in a little area right here so we can have like a little, maybe a little grass is growing right around this rascal. Maybe it's just growing right around like that. Take that same old brush, we'll go right into the yellow. Because there's blue in there, we'll get green. And we can just pop in some indications of little grassy areas that live all down in here. Take our 2-inch brush, pull downward, create a little reflection. There. Okay, back to our liquid white on the knife. And we can put a water line right around that. Right around there. Isn't that fun? I like doing little swamp scenes. Of course, I like to go out in the swamp and just watch the creatures out there, the little animals and everything. They're a lot of fun. Big old alligators are where I live. Some big old alligators. When I was just a child, I used to have an alligator for a pet. I worked for, years and years ago, I worked for a store one year at Christmas. And instead of paying me money, I was only about 10 years old, they gave me several exotic pets, and one of them was an alligator, and he was only about a foot long when they gave him to me. I'll never forget, I took that rascal home, and I wasn't real popular with my mother when I dumped him out in the living room floor out of a big old bag. But she let me keep him. And I kept him for probably about a year, year and a half, and he grew to probably close to 2.5, 3 feet long. But he got mean. I don't think you can ever make a pet out of an alligator. So I took him down to one of the local lakes and turned him loose. I'm gonna make a big tree. And chances are he's still there today. Shoot, by now he's probably huge. He's probably scaring swimmers to death. All right, I'm using the filbert brush because I want this paint to be very thick. Very, very thick. I'm gonna put a lot of paint on there, because I'm going to come back and use that thick paint to catch the highlight color. There we go. Once again, you got all these little things that grow down here around his foots. And they're not always straight. Sometimes they're crooked and gnarly, and I guess that's a word. They have all kind of little shapes. Shoot, maybe there's one that came up out there. All right. There's another one. Just Van Dyke brown, dark sienna mixed together. Very thick. Very, very thick. And I like this filbert brush for that. Okay, you know. I have to have a big tree. Have to have old big tree. There he comes. Big old tree. And it doesn't really matter much how you put this on, as long as you have a basic shape. We're going to come back and put all the highlights and all the things that make it sparkle in there. Right now we're just looking for texture on the canvas. Let's have 2 trees. What the heck? I like these old big trees. Well, I'm glad we put that back here. Some of it is showing through. I wasn't sure if it would or not. You just sort of see these scenes in your mind and you don't know exactly how they're going to come out. And that's all right. You don't mind. Cypress trees sort of grow in clumps. So we're going to have a bunch of trees, all different ages and sizes, some of them big, some little. Shoot, maybe they just go right on off the canvas here. Here's one right here. Oh, big one. He just lives right along here. We'll separate all these with highlights. Right now all we're doing, once again, just blocking it in with a lot of color. Let them get very, very big at the bottom though. Big at the bottom. There we go. Something like that. And while we have that color on there, we'll just pull a little bit down, because we're going to pull that down and make a reflection out of it. So it doesn't matter. Just grub a little in there. Take your big brush, decide what you want to be reflections, pull it down. Because we don't make mistakes. We don't make mistakes. We just have happy accidents. See there? Now then, let's take our script liner brush. I'm going to take a little white, a little dark sienna. mix them together. Something about like so. Put a little lizard crimson in there too, just to give it a little warm flavor. A lot of paint thinner. We're going to thin this paint down till it's almost the consistency of ink. Be right back. There. So you can see it running right there on the palette. Okay, let's go up here. Now with this liner brush, we said our light was, things are going to be highlighted on the right, so just take the liner brush and just let the edge of it, just the edge of it. I'm holding it almost flat, almost perpendicular there to the canvas or whatever. Just let it graze. This is where you separate all your beautiful trees. Let it graze. Just barely, barely touching. And it'll look like real bark. There, a little more paint thinner. There, and there's a big one hiding right in here. All we got to do is pull him out. There he comes, there he comes. He's in there. He's in there. There. They use cypress wood to make panelings, and they use the logs to make log cabins. There we go. A little bit over in here. Now at home, you have unlimited time, and you can really take your time and put a lot of detail here. You can make it a lot nicer than this one. Here, I just want to show you how. Just show you how. Something like so. That one we'll have behind there. A little bit in here. We got to put some nice leaves on these yet. We can take a little bit of blue and white and put the indication of a little reflected light over on this side just to make a shadow. There we go. Something like so. There. And you can even take, even though you don't see one there, you can just pull out a little knee, a little cypress knee right in there just by doing that. See, now he stands out. Okay, let's grab us a fan brush. We're gonna take some black, Prussian blue, sap green, good dark color. We gotta put some leaves on our tree. Okay, let's go up in here and decide where our old tree lives. Boy, he lives right up here at the top of the canvas. He's got big old arms that stick out everywhere. Here comes one. There they go. We're just really using a lot of pressure. There, pushing it in. Just push it right in. Okay. There. These are fun old trees to paint. And sometimes the top of the tree is naked, and down here will be a few little limbs. They just grow any old way, makes them happy. Shoot, there they come right across there. And if you're really brave, it's your bravery test. Maybe there's a few that grow right down there. Who knows? It's up to you. Wherever you think they should be. Something like that. Something like that. We can take our liner brush, a little bit of the brown color, and maybe there's a big old limb that comes right down, so that has something to sit on. Look at there. Something about like that. One here, wherever. Not too many, but a few old limbs hanging around. All right. We'll just wipe off the excess paint, use that same brush that had the dark color on it, go right into our yellow, and yellow ochre, Indian yellow, just mix them all together. And instantly we have green. So let's go back and put a few highlights up here on these. Just a few little highlights. Think about shape and form though, don't just hit that rascal at random. Think where you're going. It's like taking a trip. You need to know your destination. Same here. I met some drivers on the road that they have no destination. Bet you've met some of those too. There we go. Something like so. See there? But that easy. It gives an indication of a lot of nice little leaves and stuff that live down here. Okay, take some more of our dark color. The blue, the black, the sap green. Put a little dark down here at his foots. There we are. A lot of times these little grassy areas grow around their foots. Maybe there's another one right in here. Who knows? Wherever you want them. A little bit of our green. Just pop in some little highlights in all these areas. Something about like that. Okay, a little more for here. Don't want that one left out. There we go. Take our knife, a little bit of that liquid white with a little color in it. Put the indication of a little waterline. It sort of cleans up the bottom of all of this, brings it all together, gives borders to it. There. Something like so. And sometimes if you're really brave, maybe you can put a little bird sitting right here. We'll take and scrape out some of this excess color. It's really better if you wait until the thing is dry. And then you can put him on easy. We'll just take a little liquid white. Put the indication here of maybe a little egret that sits right out here. Something about like that. I would really suggest you wait till your painting's dry. Take a little orange. Put him a little beak on there. A couple little legs. And it sort of gives an indication of a little bird that lives out there. We'll put him an eyeball in there and call him finished. With that, I think we're going to call this one done. Really hope you've enjoyed this painting from all of us. We'd like to wish you happy painting. God bless, my friend.
This program is brought to you by a grant from Northlight Books, publisher of over 200 how-to books and videos for fine artists and graphic designers, and by the Martin F. Weber Company, manufacturers of a wide range of fine artist materials and exclusive U.S. distributor of Whatman watercolor and printmaking papers.